Deputy Minister, Honorable Mr. President, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, Chair, it's Nita.
Oh, I'm happy, Chair. The Deputy Minister will handle that.
Thank you.
Future promises. Thank you, Chair. I'm okay.
Okay, there's a number. Someone is making noise in the background. Could you kindly, everybody, please mute your mic? Thank you. Honorable Nita, you want to ask a question? Honorable Nita?
Yes, Chair, I wanted to make a follow-up to the response of the Minister, Chair. That I agree with him 100%, Chair, that the response that were given by the presenter is not satisfactory, Chair. It gives you an indication that the department doesn't have a system of tracking their treaties. If he's saying to us they did everything only to realize that it was not taken to Parliament, it's true that we really need to get a full response to that without delaying the treaty itself, but in terms of making sure that this thing doesn't repeat itself. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Nita. Can I request IT to deal with these rogue elements that keep turning on them? And I'm not sure what is going on. Deputy Minister, there's that comment from Honorable Nita.
No, what I'd like to say is noted. We will follow up and try and ensure that there are better systems.
I see Honorable Zanamela. Mike.
Yeah.
No, can we remove these people that keep unmuting their mics for absolutely no reason? Honourable members, please mute your mics. And I don't think we can take any more interruptions in this meeting. Honourable Zanamela, you lowered your hand. It's okay. Thank you, Honourable members. Honourable members, I think before we dispense of this item, I see your hand raised again. Honourable Zanamela, do you have a question? The reason I'm allowing it, or I may allow it, is because there have been very few questions in terms of this treaty. Honourable Zanamela, can you clarify why you're raising your hand?
No, thanks, Chair. I just wanted to check. I know it was raised by one of the honourable members earlier on. Why was it not taken to Parliament? I mean, we didn't get a clear answer. You know, if maybe you can if you can be assisted just there. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, Deputy Minister.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to respond. I mean, Mr. Van Heerden did give an explanation. I'm personally not aware of any of this, and have said we will investigate. But I don't know if Mr. Van Heerden can maybe clarify again.
Maybe, Deputy Minister, you did indicate that you will go back and investigate and look into the matter. Perhaps this is something we can even engage with you further in future engagements in relation to treaties. I don't want to go back to Mr. Van Heerden because of the quality of his, and perhaps in future.
Yes, Chairperson. It was very difficult to hear what Mr. Van Heerden is saying. You know, hence my question. I thought maybe the minister, the deputy minister, actually had a response to that. You know. Thanks, but Van Heerden can assist us, maybe, I don't know.
Honourable Zanamela, thank you. I think the Deputy Minister did indicate that they'll look deeper into this matter, and perhaps as we continue engagements on the treaties, we would at that point also get a response from the Minister in terms of what actually went wrong, and what kind of systems they're going to put in place to ensure that this doesn't actually happen again. On members, I think it will also be important to mention that in terms of diplomatic relations between South Africa and Mexico, which were established in terms of the new dispensation on the 27th of October, 1993, the bilateral relations between South Africa and Mexico have been good, and the two countries have been working closely over these years. And this year, 2020, marks 26 years since the establishment of bilateral diplomatic relations between the two countries. And clearly, these treaties will improve the effectiveness of law enforcement authorities of both countries in investigation, prosecution, and prevention of crime through cooperation and mutual legal assistance in criminal matters. And I'm sure that in the next meeting, when we deal with the decisions of the committee, we'll note that these treaties will strengthen the fight in all forms of international crimes, as well as strengthen relations between South Africa and Mexico. And I think with that, Deputy Minister, let me thank you and Mr. Van Heerden for your presentation. Yeah, and we'll, honourable members, I think we should move on to the next issue, the briefing by the Magistrates Commission. Deputy Minister, yeah, thank you on that one. Let me then hand over to the Magistrates Commission to deal with the issue of Magistrate Mkanzi. Deputy Minister, did you need to say something?
No, I mean, I saw it was Mr. Mohammed and or the Secretary of the Commission, and I saw Mr. Mayor was also, I think, in the meeting, so it would be between them to work out who's going to present. I think it's usually Mr. Mayor, but I'm not sure.
Yes, good morning. Honourable Chairperson, it's Advocate Musa.
Okay, thank you.
Advocate Musa, sorry, I didn't see you. Yes, no, I didn't see you. Okay, sorry, the chair of the Ethics Committee is here. So, Chair, can he present? We'll start the presentation.
Thank you, Honourable.
Please, Advocate Musa, you have 20 minutes to, and I hope you wouldn't take that much time to make your presentation. Thank you.
Honourable Chair, Honourable Members, this is the report on the provisional suspension of the Magistrate, Mr. Eltim Mkanzi, who is the Regional Magistrate in Bloemfontein. Honourable Members, you will recall and remember that the purpose of this report is to inform Parliament of the provisional suspension of Mr. Eltim Mkanzi pending the outcome of an investigation into his fitness to hold office as a magistrate, as required by Section 13(3)(b) of the Magistrates Act 90 of 1993. The background of the matter is very simply that Mr. Mkanzi is a regional magistrate, 49 years old, and he was appointed as a regional magistrate on the 1st of December 2013. The misconduct charges that have been preferred against Mr. Mkanzi relates to prima facie evidence that he, during the period 28 March 2017 and 04 May 2018, on numerous occasions communicated on his cellular telephone with an accused person who appeared before him in the criminal courts on 24 counts of fraud. And how the evidence, in fact, came out in this particular matter was as a result of the South African Police Services investigating the telephone records, the cellular mobile phone records of the accused person in the course of its investigation. And during this investigation, it stumbled upon the numerous telephone calls that were made between Mr. Mkanzi and the accused person. Initially, when the matter was placed before the Ethics Committee by the Ethics Division, the Ethics Division recommended that the matter not be pursued because it was only one single count of a telephone call that was made between the parties. However, the Ethics Committee, having carefully considered the position, ordered a Regulation 26(1) investigation, which subsequently then revealed that there were these 49 instances of telephone calls emanating between the regional magistrate as well as the accused. Subsequently, thereupon, the Magistrates Commission, then you will see, honourable members, has prepared a charge sheet. And in terms of Section 13(3)(a) of the Act the Minister, on the advice of the Magistrates Commission, may provisionally suspend a magistrate from office. We of the view that we've given the magistrate a reasonable opportunity to be heard regarding the desirability of such provisional suspension, and the Commission was satisfied, or is satisfied, that reliable evidence exists indicating that an allegation against the magistrate is of such a serious nature as to make it inappropriate for the magistrate to perform the functions of a judicial officer while the allegation is being investigated. To that extent, honorable members, you will see in the documents that have been provided to you the draft charge sheet. You will also see that the Honorable Minister on the 9th of May 2020, under his hand at Pretoria, has decided to provisionally suspend Mr. Eltim Kansi from the office of the magistrate. The evidence that the Magistrates Commission has prima facie is indicative of serious transgression on the part of Mr. Eltim Kansi. The only aspect that we will perhaps ask, you will observe from the documents of record, is that we have not recommended that Mr. Eltim Kansi be suspended from office without remuneration. So we've not asked that he be suspended without remuneration, and we accordingly present this report for consideration by Parliament in terms of Section 13(3)(b), which requires the Magistrates Commission to table this report within a period of 7 days after the commencement of the session or the commencement of the next ensuing session of Parliament. So our request today is respectfully to ask Parliament to pass a resolution as to whether or not the provisional suspension of the magistrate is confirmed, and we respectfully request that on the available evidence before Parliament, that it would be appropriate for Parliament to pass a resolution that the magistrate be provisionally suspended from office. So that is in a nutshell the briefing that we have in respect of this particular matter. Honourable members, I draw your attention briefly to the transcript of the proceedings, where initially the magistrate went through a bit of a process to recuse himself, but I respectfully submit that the allegations are of such a serious nature that the clarion call in this particular instance will simply be for a provisional suspension for Mr. Eltim Kansi with immediate effect, pending the outcome of an investigation into his fitness to hold such office. Accordingly, that will be my briefing in this particular matter. I'm not certain if Mr. Mayor would like to add anything, but we are more than happy, Honourable Chairperson, to take questions as we normally always do from the Honourable members.
Mr. Mayor, do you want to add anything? Mr. Mayor?
Hello.
Okay. Yes.
Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Members, Honourable DM, I just want to confirm that all time frames in respect of the Act have been complied with in presenting this report timeously, and have it tabled in Parliament within the time frames set out in the Act.
Okay, thank you. Honourable members, Mr. Mayor, if you can mute your mic, please. Thank you. Honourable members, are there any questions that you'd like to raise? I have noted Honourable Jantjies. Is there any other member that would want to raise a question?
Nita?
Honourable Nita.
Zandamela.
Okay, Honourable Zandamela. Honourable Glennis, do you want to speak?
Mola.
Mola.
Totovu.
Okay, Honourable Dodovu. Honourable Masakejele. Sorry, I didn't hear the last name.
Can you hear me now?
Mola. Honorable Mola. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, it sounded like Mola, but with a male voice. I got confused. Okay. Yes. Yes. Sir.
We also have Honorable Janji, who also wants to ask a question.
Yes, I've got his name already. I noted him. Thank you, Mr. Romano. All members, is that all? Because I'm not going to take a second round of questions. We'll only do follow-ups. Okay. So, all members, I've noted Honorable Jantjies, Honorable Nita, Honorable Zandamela, Honorable Glynis. I'm not sure if you want to speak, but and I suspect your surname. Okay.
Hi, it's Glynis Breitenbach, and I don't have a question. Thank you. I only will support the request to suspend.
Okay, no, it's fine. Thank you. Honorable Mola, Honorable Dodovu, Honorable Masekejele, and Honorable Mola. Okay, we'll start with Honorable Jantjies.
Sorry, Honorable Director, if possible.
Honorable Chair. Can I speak, Chair?
Is that Honorable who? Hendricks. Honorable Hendricks, can you mute your mic, please? You're disturbing this meeting. Okay, Honorable Jantjies, you may start, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Am I audible?
Yeah, very audible, but you're not visible.
Thank you,
but that's
Chair.
okay.
As long as you can hear me, that's fine. I just want to raise the first thing so that we don't get this problem, because there's a technology here that guides all of us. You raise your hand in a technology so that we don't make noise and shout so and so. It disturbs our meeting when we do that. Let's just get to the queue of it. That's a side issue. The real issue I want to raise, Chair, I want to propose that we support the recommendation for the provisional suspension of Magistrate Mukanzi pending a further investigation. I want to concretely make that proposal, Chair. Having said that, there's something I want to raise with the chair of the Ethics Committee, Mr. Musa, and his team. The last time we dealt with the matter of magistrate suspension, I think in March or February, we did raise a concern about some systemic issues in the magistracy, especially in the Ethics Committee, and we had asked them to come back to us for a further detailed presentation. We were not happy about some of the procedures and processes. And I would like to remind them that we're still waiting for that kind of a fuller presentation. It is also very clear, much as I support this, the ethics division initially dropped the ball, if you listen to them, that they initially dropped the case on the basis that there was only one phone call. And it's those kind of things where they then put to question this method of investigation. So it means they only active there's about 40 cases. So if it was 2, it's likely to be dropped. So I am very concerned about that initial dropping of that case on the basis that there was just one call. I completely don't accept that, because it's a poor standard that they are setting in terms of investigation. So those are going to be my 2 points on the presentation. I want to raise the last point, if you permit me, to the Deputy Minister and Mr. Mohammed, who's here for the Magistrate Commission, in relation to a COVID-related matter in the courts in the Western Cape. I want him to just respond and either confirm these issues and indicate what actions are being taken. I want to draw the attention of the Deputy Minister that as we speak today, in the Western Cape, the epicenter of the COVID-19 in South Africa, I have come across reports that there are about 15 courts where magistrate or interpreter have tested positive. And I just want him to, and I'll list for him very slowly. It's Vredenburg in the West Coast, it's Goodwood in Cape Town, it's Bishop Lavis in Cape Town, it's Blue Downs, a senior magistrate in Blue Downs, it's Cape Town Court, it's Paarl in the Cape Winelands, it's Vredendal, it's Piketberg, it's Athlone, it's Fazeka, it's Stellenbosch, it's Khayelitsha, it's Philippi, Worcester. These has happened in the last 3 days. And the last one is serious. I would want him to take this up with the Department of Labor because 2 weeks ago, that decontaminated and nothing is happening there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Jantjies. Honorable Nita. Honorable Nita.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, thank you again. What I'd like to say, Chair, the report is quite straightforward and the transgressions are very serious, Chair. I was also raising my hand, Chair, to support the suspension, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Zandamela. Honorable Zandamela.
No, thank you, Chairperson. Now, this is an ethical conduct from the magistrate chair, and obviously this is an act of corruption. I'm actually having a serious problem, Chair, when corrupt individuals must be suspended with full salary. I don't know how did the commission come to that, but I would like the Deputy Minister please to just since there's enough evidence, and then if he can maybe indicate how long will the whole issue drag. You know, since there's evidence, there's everything, and they can't just keep people on the payroll, corrupt people on the payroll. If you can just perhaps indicate how long is the matter going to take. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Zandamela. Honorable Mola.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for the report. Chairperson, I support the suspension of Mr. El Mokansi pending a further investigation. And I want to raise this to the Ethics Committee's decision. It's unacceptable, Chairperson, if they can make a decision without a thorough investigation. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Honorable Dodovo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I think I concur that the report is straightforward and it is quite clear that the Commission has followed all the necessary processes to arrive at a point where they suspend the magistrate. But of what is concerned to me, or let me put it as a question, if there is criminal act on the part of a suspect or a person suspended, at what point does the Magistrate Commission refer this matter to the relevant authorities for the institution of criminal proceedings against that particular suspect? Would they wait for the disciplinary process to be finalized, or this particular processes must run concurrently? Because I support the fact that if there is any criminal liability, they must run concurrently in that respect. And I want to check whether have they gone that far to ensure that they prosecute this particular person criminally as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Dodovo. Honorable Maseka Jele.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, me too. I support the suspension, Chairperson. But also, in addition to that, I just want to. Sorry, Chair. There's
okay.
Yes, there is. Okay, let me just. I'll be very short. I'll be very, very short, Chairperson. I just want to find out. In fact, I want to reiterate what the advocate Batoy said in response to the questions which we were having. I know that you were not there, and even the ethics, the commission was not there. but she said something like, even I won't be able to quote her words word by word, but she said maybe it is the high time that also justice is subjected to the same inquiry like we have in Zondo Commission, because it's not only this case, Chairperson. There are so many cases that are coming from the magistrates. The Commission will attest to that, and also the prosecutors. So it seems as if there is a lot happening in that area, and that is the area that we want to keep clean. We want to make sure that we don't have such, because, you know, if we're having such, indeed, this is denting their independence and impartiality. I want to reiterate that. Can the Commission comment on that? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Matt. Honorable Ngola.
Thank you, Chair. I am covered, and I must register that I support the suspension. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, honorable members. Let me then hand over to the Commission and the Deputy Minister.
Sorry, Chairperson.
Chairperson.
Sorry, Chair. Yeah, please. Just one thing that I thought would be raised here, which has not been raised.
Okay, hold on, Honorable Goya. I hear somebody else speaking. Who is that?
It's me, Chairperson. My hand was up very early.
Oh, Mohammed. Okay. Sorry, Honorable Mohammed. I'm seeing your hand only now. Thank you. I think we'll start with Honorable Goya and then Honorable Mohammed. Honorable Goya.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chair. The matter that I want to raise, Chair, is this thing, and I think it's a message that we must send across the public sector, that when a person has offended and gets suspended with full benefits, well, upon being found guilty, government needs to retrieve the money that they've paid that person for the period that the person was suspended with pay. I think that's a matter that we must take up seriously, because people commit these offenses knowing for a fact that I am going to be suspended with my salary for a particular period of time. And in that period of time, they look for alternatives because they know that they've committed these crimes. So I think and it should start now, that upon being found guilty, this particular person will have, on being paid out, the Department of Justice will need to take what is due to them in terms of what they paid him during his period of suspension. So I think that should be the matter, Chair, that we need to look at. We understand that you would suspend a person because you don't want to be seen to be preempting the outcome of the investigation. But that money shouldn't just be money that is lost. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Goya. Honorable Mohammed. Honorable Mohammed.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I just wanted to also record, as the ANC, the African National Congress, we support the recommendation for the suspension of this magistrate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think before Deputy Minister and the Advocate Musa or Mr. Meyer responds, maybe let me just clarify procedure once again. As I indicated earlier, that we would be receiving briefings today, and but in terms of decisions in relation to the two committees, we'll be dealing with those in our two independent meetings on Friday, so that members are comfortable with the procedure. Let me hand over to Deputy Minister, or let me hand over to the Commission first. Deputy Minister, I think you can also respond after the Commission does. Advocate Musa, if I can hand over to you.
Yes, thank you, Honourable Chair. I think in respect of the first question that was raised, in respect of the further detailed presentation that the Magistrates Commission needed to make to Parliament, you will note from the last time that we were before Parliament during February 2020, certain events have overtaken us, namely that the COVID-19 pandemic has come along that has now affected us to come before the committee to make the presentation. But I want to give the honourable members of the committee the understanding that we would definitely be making the presentation as soon as is practically possible in respect of that particular aspect that they've raised. The question that was raised is, why did the Ethics Division not recommend that this particular magistrate or steps be taken against the magistrate and recommend that on one count that no further steps should be taken? I want to just perhaps maybe share with the committee that the two structures that operate in the Magistrates Commission vis-a-vis the Ethics Division and the Ethics Committee are two separate structures that complement and supplement each other but are independent of each other. So when the report came, at the time when the report was made to the Ethics Committee by the division, at that point in time, on the available evidence as it was presented at that point in time, the evidence did not point to an element of transgression on the part of the magistrate. However, when the matter came before the Ethics Committee, having carefully deliberated on the matter with my committee, we were of the view that in the circumstances, the allegations were of such a nature that independently we could in fact request a Regulation 26(1) investigation, and subsequent to that investigation, we then became privy to the information that that was presented to us. In respect of the question relating to the suspension with full pay and how long the process will take, perhaps I'm going to then hand over that particular question to Mr. Mayor, who will be able to assist the committee in relation to the suspension with the full pay and how long the process would take.
Chair.
Honourable, okay, Mr. Mayor.
Honourable Chairperson.
Yes. Please go ahead. Mr. Mayor, you've muted yourself. Can you unmute?
Sorry. Honourable Chairperson, with regard to the first question, the Ethics Division received a complaint, a once-off complaint for one call in respect of Mr. Mkansi and the accused, and on the view of that it's only one count, and his explanation that it may have been that a telephonic conversation took place maybe between the accused and one of his family members. Based on that, on only one occasion, the Ethics Division was of the view that there is no sufficient evidence to charge him with misconduct. But like what Advocate Musa explained, and which is in the report, there was another investigation unrelated to this specific case where the accused was before Mr. Mkansi, and in that matter, the police investigated it, and then we were advised that there were 48 other counts, and that's when the matter was before the Ethics Committee, and the Ethics Committee considered and the matter and resolved to conduct a preliminary investigation. And then based on the preliminary investigation, the commission, the committee and the commission charged him with misconduct. So I just want to clarify that. With regard to the withholding of remuneration, Chairperson, the commission is of the view that once you withhold remuneration, it must also pass constitutional muster. And it's only rare, in really very, very rare cases and exceptional cases that the Commission would determine to withhold remuneration when a person is provisionally suspended from office. Hello?
My apologies to interject, but there is some noise in the background. There's an 021 number who is part of this meeting. I don't know who this person is, and can I get the admin staff and or the IT staff to deal with this number, to mute it or remove it? Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Please continue.
And there's a bird at the back. I think you must just deal with the bird that is screaming at the back.
On a lighter note, Mr. Mayor, please continue.
The chairperson, the birds are not Hadidas. Now, with regard to withholding, it's the Van Rooyen case in the Constitutional Court said really that it's only in exceptional circumstances that we should withhold remuneration when a magistrate's provision suspended from office. It's a different scenario when the commission is found guilty already of misconduct, and the minister suspended him from office on the advice of the commission, and then that the report will be tabled in Parliament to remove him from office. That's a different scenario, because then we can say, well, pending Parliament's decision to pass a resolution not to restore the particular magistrate from office, it would be justified to withhold his remuneration. So in this instance, I think it's premature to think and for the Commission to determine to withhold remuneration at this stage. I mean, he's not been found guilty yet. The investigation, preliminary investigation, has been done. So he has been charged. So it's now for the disciplinary inquiry to proceed and commence. This depends on, can I just link it to the question how long it will take? It depends on of course, the current situation. We cannot commence with misconduct inquiries at the moment, but as soon as the lockdown has been to such an extent downgraded to a level that we can continue with misconduct inquiries, we will proceed with the misconduct inquiry as soon as possible. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Deputy Minister?
Chair?
I don't know who's speaking.
It's your co-chair, Chair.
Oh, Honorable Co-Chair.
Yes.
Maybe, yeah, let me take you, because I see there's some issues raised by Honorable Jantjies, and I'm not part of the PC committee, so I don't have a background on the matter. But yeah, please.
Yes, can members who are driving switch off their cameras?
Okay.
Can I assist you, Chair? It's NCOP members, Honourable Sheikh, who are driving.
Can they switch off their cameras?
Honourable Dodova and honourable members, let me not single out Honourable Dodova. Honourable members, can you switch off your cameras and switch off your mics, especially those who are driving, because it does interfere with the signal and it affects all of us. Thank you, Honourable Magwanish. Yeah, no, okay, Deputy Minister, if you can continue.
Thanks, Chair. And yeah, I also too, maybe it's a National Assembly thing, but I was watching Honourable Dodova. I don't know if you realize when you were driving, your phone was, we were watching the trees that you were driving past. But look, just firstly on the suspensions issue, just to reiterate that magistrates and judicial officers like judges, and so for judicial independence, the minister has a very little say over disciplinary matters with them. It's handled by the commission as it's handled by the JSC. So the minister can't suspend a magistrate. It needs to be the commission that does that. a minister can't decide to suspend the salary, and it's all basically handled by the commission from a fairness point of view. The Van Rooyen judgment did say that salaries can be suspended, and when they are, and if the person is found not guilty, they must be paid back. I'm not sure. I think it was I think it was Honourable Goya, or it might have been Honourable Zandamela, raising about you know, if they're found guilty, they must pay back the salary. I don't think that would work in terms of labour law. But as I said, the Van Rooyen judgment said it can be suspended. It's only suspended, the salary is only suspended in extreme cases. More recently, the Constitutional Court in the NDPP matter, Sean Abrahams had said that a suspension, no, sorry, not Sean Abrahams, the previous NDPP had said that the NDPP couldn't be suspended without a salary. So I'm not sure if the court would re-look at that issue now, but those are the problems. The challenge is and I myself and the commission know this, are one of the people who complain a lot about how long it takes for matters to be finalized. I don't know if it was answered. I think it was Honourable Zandamela's question that the investigations do run concurrently. Sometimes the commission is asked to not proceed with a matter pending the criminal matter investigation, which I think is problematic, because the other aspect is that a finding of guilt in a criminal matter, there's a different onus, a different test. It's a more strict test for a criminal matter of that you are guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Whereas in a civil matter, which would be a disciplinary matter, it's a balance of probabilities where you weigh up and you see which side the scales tilt in. So it's possible to be acquitted, found not guilty in a criminal matter, and still be convicted in a labour matter, a disciplinary matter. Then just but just to stress, magistrates are not public servants, so it's the same rules really that apply to judges, except it's handled by the Magistrates Commission, not by the Judicial Services Commission. On Honourable Jantjies' question, the information that I've got is that look, I battled to get hold of the regional head, who only came back to me now, and who's meant to be emailing something which hasn't come yet. But I checked with the two chief magistrates. It's as far as magistrates that are that tested positive, it seems it's only one in the whole of the Western Cape. And then as far as courts that are affected, yes, Khayelitsha is one of them, where I think it was a clerk tested positive, and the court is currently not functional, and will probably only be functional again from Monday because of sanitization and things. Athlone, I'm told, I don't know if that was on your list, I don't see it, that was a scare. Fezeka is actually being sanitized, and I think also closed. And Philippi, there's an allegation of a staff member is positive, and if that's confirmed, that'll be sanitized tomorrow. And then in the other cluster, it's Paro sorry, just checking. It's Paro that is a court orderly tested positive in Paro in the municipal court. That's apparently separate from the main court building, so it's just the municipal court that was affected. However, I mean, Western Cape is the epicenter, so there are a number of cases. It could be orderlies who are actually South African Police Service members, which occurred in the Cape Town Magistrates Court. It could be, I know that Paul was I think a staff member. Stellenbosch, I think, was a waiting trial inmate. But yes, there are cases, and the department is working out a protocol which is meant to be discussed with all the stakeholders as to what should happen when somebody tests positive. The situation, I'm told, in the Khayelitsha court is that legal aid officials are not wanting to enter the court unless the whole court is sanitized, not just the area that the clerk was in. And then it is also affecting other areas. So in Gauteng, Kliptown, I had a matter reported today. I've just had a message from the Chief Magistrate of Port Elizabeth that an official in her court is affected. I got a message 2 days ago from the Chief Magistrate of Pietermaritzburg that a clerk had tested positive. So it is particularly more prevalent, obviously, in the areas that where COVID is more prevalent, and it then does cause significant disruptions, obviously, as to when a person is found to be positive. I think in the case of Khayelitsha, one of the complications was that the test, the person was tested some time ago, and the results took some time to come out. So I don't know if that's a bit ad hoc. We are trying to get better systems in place so that there's more information on our website as to which courts are affected. We need to look at the privacy issues around, do we say it's an interpreter or a clerk or a magistrate or whoever. Those are things we still need to look at. But I hope that suffices for now.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Honourable members, I see I didn't note Honourable Hendricks. It seems that he wanted to ask a question, but I thought he had left his mic on by mistake. So I'll note him now. But honourable members, are there any follow-up questions that you have? If you could please give an indication. Honourable Masegejele, is that you?
I'm still waiting for my comment from the committee. Yes, the commission.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. There's your comment, and then there's maybe. Is there any member who wants to ask a follow-up question?
Yes, Chair. I indicated technologically.
Who's it? Honourable Jantjies.
Yes.
Honourable Jantjies. Any other member? No. Okay. If there's no other member, then we'll take Honourable Hendricks to ask his question, seeing that I missed him. And then followed, Honourable Jantjies will follow. And Honourable Masegejele's question still remains unanswered. Honourable Hendricks. Honourable Hendricks. Honourable Hendricks, are you still with us? Oh, okay. Okay, let me take Honourable Jantjies, seeing that I can't get hold of Honourable Hendricks.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Chair, I'm here. It's just two quick ones. Just to appreciate the response from the Magistrate Commission and indicate that we're looking forward to them to come back to us about the full presentation. I appreciate that. And the second one also to thank the Deputy Minister for the response on those COVID-related matters, but to ask him to please make a follow-up about protocols being followed. That's all I think we need at this stage. Cape Town is an epicenter. People must just be able to follow protocols immediately. We understand the test situation because it's a national blockage, that the time lag it takes, it's long. That one is understandable, but all others, I think it's going to be important that every court follows those protocols to the T. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Jantjies. Honorable Hendricks, are you still with us? Do you still have a question you'd like to ask? Okay, I'm not sure if he's still in this meeting. Maybe our committee secretaries could give an indication. But thank you, members, for those questions. Honorable Deputy Minister, let me hand over to you.
Yeah, I think that Advocate Musa needs to respond to Advocate Maseko Jele's question, or she can remind him if he missed it. I just wanted to say in response, sorry, to Honourable Jantjies' response. That yeah, no, thanks for that. We'll push the department harder for working out a protocol, because often there is, I mean, the result of this in Khayelitsha is that it's closed till Monday, because there isn't agreement over what needs to be sanitized. So we need to work this all out in advance. But maybe just let me say that one of the problems with this disease is that it does false positives. So we did have a magistrate who unfortunately was doing some training, so he was in contact with other magistrates, and he tested positive. He needed the test for something else, and magistrates had to be quarantined that he'd come into contact with. And then he had showed no indication of the illness, and he then his 2 subsequent tests were negative. So I understand there are both false positives and false negatives, which complicates matters more, because once you obviously get a positive test, you have to react. So, but we will try and get more systematic information on a regular basis and put it out on our website.
Thank you. Advocate Musa?
Yes, Honourable Chair. Can I just perhaps maybe be reminded of the question that was put forward by Honourable Jele? I think it was in relation to the comments that were made by Ms. Batoy, but if you can just perhaps refresh my memory, I'll highly appreciate it, Honourable Jele.
Honourable Maseko Jele, if you could perhaps give more context to your question.
The comment that was made by Advocate Batoy, after we asked a question in relation to such issues like this one that we have today, of having our officials, justice officials, engaging themselves in corruption like this. And the concern was that we want to clean we want a clean justice system. And then she commented and said, maybe we can have a parallel. We can have, are you still with me? A parallel,
we hear you.
Yes, just like in the Zondo Commission inquiry. What is the view of the commission after they have experienced? I think this is not the only issue. There are so many issues that has been coming to before them of this nature. So can I have their comment in relation to that comment that has been made by Advocate Batoy?
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you, Honourable. It looks like the comment is much clearer to me. I duly take cognizance and note of the comments made by the Honourable Member and the comments made by Advocate Batoy on behalf of the NDPP. I don't believe that the Magistrates Commission would be averse to considering a parallel process like the Zondo Commission, but I just want to indicate that one, the process would require obviously the Magistrates Commission to deliberate in respect of this particular aspect. But the allegations of corruption that normally emanate against judicial officers are dealt with in misconduct inquiries. So to have a commission of inquiry, I really wouldn't be able to understand unless you have maybe 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 allegations of corruption against the members of the lower judiciary for one to then have a commission of inquiry. But these are allegations that come up on an ad hoc basis, and therefore we have a misconduct inquiry against them. But it's a comment that I obviously will take back to the full commission and for us to in fact deliberate. And I'm certain that perhaps when we meet on the next occasion, we would be able to maybe share additional information relating to this specific aspect that was raised.
Okay, thank you, Advocate Musa. Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. Okay, thank you, honorable members. Thank you, Deputy Minister, Advocate Musa, and Mr. Mayor for your responses. Honorable members, I think we've exhausted our engagement in terms of this report. Perhaps I can ask the chair, my co-chair, Honorable Magonish, if there's anything you'd like to add.
No, thank you, Chair. I'm covered.
Thank you, Honorable Magonish. Honorable members, I think as I've indicated twice now, that in terms of the two matters that have been presented today, both committees will deliberate further and take relevant decisions when they meet within their own committees on Friday. That being said, honorable members, let me thank all of you. Thank the Deputy Minister, the members from the Commission, as well as officials from the department for your engagements today. And let me declare this meeting closed. I hope it will give sufficient time to members of the NA to also go and join their meeting. Once again, thank you, honourable members, and I'm declaring this session closed. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Bye,
Chair.
Bye, Chair.
Bye. Chair.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Well chaired.
Thanks, Honorable Magonish. I can't switch off my mic or mute myself. It's weird.
Chair.
Oh.
It's like somebody has taken away that functionality from me. I feel that's great. I have control now. Yeah, thank you, honorable members, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.